Good evening and welcome to Come Monday. I'm your host, Majesty Pearson here. Tonight we've got some great things in store for you. As the new host, I have a lot planned for the program and I cannot wait to share it with you guys. Tonight, actually, we're going to be talking about, guess what? Astrology. Hello. We live right under it all the time, so it's great that we get to get into it. So yeah, my dad wasn't able to make it tonight, but, you know, probably won't miss him. I probably got, you know, a lot going on. I've got a lot of notes. I actually just stole his laptop, so we're just gonna start out.
Whoa, baby.
Hey, Dad! Oh!
Give him an inch and they try to take a mile.
I thought so.
I've got to do my own show, baby. Get over there. She gonna sing. I'll leave the singing to you. You leave the teaching to me.
That's fine.
She sounded like she knows what she was gonna talk about. I think she might have. She was just making that stuff up. You know she's a preacher's kid, because we know how to do. Is she gonna sing first or?
Not later.
Oh, she's gonna sing later. And what did she say we were talking about? Astrotheology. Hi, I'm Carlton Pearson. Welcome to Come Monday. She already said that. That's my baby girl, Majesty, a brilliant little mind singer. She's gonna sing a couple songs tonight, at least one. I'm trying to get her to sing two. And very gifted, as you know, and you're gonna enjoy. One of the songs she's gonna sing is from the new movie that's called what is it?
Showman.
Showman. The Greatest Showman. It's the lyrics in it. She'll tell you more about it, but it's about an inclusive gathering of people around to help this man find his destiny or fulfill his destiny. And you know, I'm a radical inclusionist, and I believe that everything works together. All things ultimately work together in concert for a larger purpose, a larger plan that we're all inextricably connected to. And the sooner we wake up to that reality, the more and sooner we'll have peace in mind and peace on the planet. That's one of the ultimate objectives of my life on this planet in these next few days. And this ministry or this program or our message is to bring about global peace and tranquility. I started last week to slightly introduce, and I will, for the next several weeks, we'll talk about astrotheology and shamanism. Astrotheology, aster is the Greek word for star, the study of the stars or the planets or the places and spaces that are higher. I named the ministry 41 years ago Higher Dimensions, meaning higher measurements and higher angles and higher angels, which are messages, higher ways of thinking, higher ways of being, our exalted self, our anthropos, the upward-looking person. That's what man is, or humankind. Astrology is the study of the movements and relative positions of celestial bodies, interpreted as having some kind of influence or flow or some sort of fluidity on human affairs and on the natural world. This is something that has been a spiritual, esoteric preoccupation with humans since the beginning of humankind. In fact, the first gods and goddesses were planets. People looked upward, seeing hope and mystery or mist story, and we're going to be dealing with the mysteries and mystery religions and mystery concepts. The mist stories about ourselves, the mist stories about our souls, the mist stories about our psyche, our extrasensual perceptions, our extrasensual transcendent moments. I'm from a classical Pentecostal background. The one thing, maybe the only thing that really drew me to my quote-unquote Christian faith was the Pentecostal aspect of it, which was very transcendental. It was metaphysical and metaphorical. It was a reach outside of the norm. There was never a boring service. There was music. There was dancing. There was sort of above the normal mentality. It would actually have an altered consciousness in services. It involved itself in dancing and beating drums and tambourines and rhythm and syncopations and beats and some kind of ethereal, otherworldly experience. Every service had a peak or a climax where we would reach, the preacher would reach it in a sermon, the singer would reach it in a song, the instrumentalists would reach it in their playing. We always had to have these peak experiences. That's what kept me intrigued. If it had just been, you know, a normal ritual service where, you know, you do 3 points in a poem and leave, I wouldn't have wanted to go as much. To me, my particular religion was powerful. My religious experience was more than religious. It was spiritual. And so I'm still intrigued with that and sharing it with others, even though I'm into expanded consciousness, new ways of thinking and being, and a new spirituality, a new paradigm that we're helping to create or at least enhance. So astrology is the study of the stars. And it's been part of the human quest for God or spirit from the beginning. Theology is God thought or God talk. It's God logic. The word logos is the Greek word for word, but we also get the English word logics and logistics. It's God logic, God language, God communicate, divine logic, divine language. I happen to believe, and I think most humans believe, that there's some kind of divine or scientific rhythm to the universe, that things happen in order, or that they are ordained or ordered to occur. First in nature, trees and dust and mountains and water and air and light and darkness, sun and moon, all the planets. Those are natural fixed principles that don't change. They evolve and they expand, but they don't really change dramatically as far as our concept can go. And they're the stable things, and they're the things that humans first believed in as something you could trust because they were consistent, seasonal successions and progressions and processes of life. And we determined and discerned our spirituality through those fixed postures and those amazing presence. So it's called anthropology, and an anthropologist are the people who study humankind professionally. They study the human model, the human, modalities, the human modes and moods, and in particular, the origin of humanity and the aspects of humanity that are not always conspicuous. It really means, in the Greek, it means the upward-looking one. We're all looking up and looking out and expanding, and we're curious. And that's how we've created, humankind have created all these things, including electricity. We're hungry. And there's a divine line, in my opinion, and connection to spirit and creation and science. Science means knowledge. Conscience is conscious, thank you. Consciousness, it means with knowledge or with knowing. I believe that faith has superseded knowledge when we were born first with knowledge. And faith, expressing itself religiously, is an attempt to reclaim what we already know and have forgotten. I call that spiritual amnesia. Faith is a gesture of trying to reclaim and reconnect and recollect, if you will. Remember what we have forgotten. I don't teach as much as remind you of what you already know and have forgotten. And I meant to say at the beginning of the program, our beloved Aretha Franklin, the queen of soul and really of gospel, who was a personal friend of mine, is at the doorstep of her transition to her next form, the next realm, the next dimension. She was a powerful, iconic human being who was brought up in the church. I've been to the church that her dad, C.L. Franklin, preached at. I've been there twice at her invitation to sing and to minister. I've been with her on the road to Radio City Music Hall at her invitation. We've sang together Precious Memories, a song that she recorded with James Cleveland, but I recorded on Azusa. She had all the Azusa CDs. I didn't know that. She listens to them and gets ministered to them, loves those old songs. We did Constitution Hall together in D.C. We did Nakoa Theater in Los Angeles. In fact, that when I did Radio City Music Hall, it was the Friday night before the Saturday memorial funeral service for Whitney Houston. She sent me out on the stage to address the issue, to pray, and then to start the concert. She trusted me that much. She loved the gospel of inclusion and understood it, and she knew what I had gone through, so she invited me into her realm. I'll be forever indebted to her. She is a lovely, lovely lady. She had her challenges and issues like we all do as PKs and as in that world. But Aretha was Aretha. Nobody can compare to her style, her energy. She loved the anointing and loved to express it and allowed its expression in her concerts. Always had a gospel segment where she would just take the folk there. And believe it or not, her largest attendance in any concert that I work with her was non-black. I mean, white people love Aretha, love her style, love her music. And when she got happy, they got happy. When she would quicken, they would quicken. Then when she sing Respect, they'd go there with her. So she, an amazing human being. And I think she's battled pancreatic cancer a few times. All of her sisters and her mother died with that. And she's the last to have survived. So she's very close, and her family is around her. And I've been sending her flowers and music and prayers. Sometimes I'll call if I can get through to her or get word to her. Fred Nelson, who was the minister of music at Christ Universal Temple when I was in Chicago, was her band director, was the last one she had. I went on the road with them. She reached me because he gave her my number. She called me personally and asked me to join her, and it was a high moment of my life, and I'll always remember Aretha. I've been loving her music and singing like her since I was a kid. My sister Gail, who has an album coming out now, she's always loved Aretha and adores her. It has a little bit of her style if you ever hear my sister Gail sing. So my heart's a little sad tonight because of that, just because I'll miss her presence. She's been huge in my life, my musical thinking, my musical style of singing, and I told her that. You know, I learned some of her roles back when I was a kid, and if nobody has the voice. I've never had the voice to do what Aretha does, but I can feel every ripple, every run. I have her singing with Tony Bennett. I've got her on that album, and she went to church. I said, "Girl, you had to go to church at the end of that song. You ought to hear it." It's her doing a duet on one of Tony's last albums, and I think Mariah Carey is on there, and Queen Latifah and all that, but she's there, and Aretha is Aretha. She just does her thing. So we're thinking about her and praying for her family. She'll be all right. She's probably in between worlds now, almost on the other side. We don't know if she'll survive the night. But her family are the ones we're reaching out, and they've loved her for years, and she cared about her family, cared about everybody. Generous, full of love. She's the kind of person I could pick up the phone, and if I could get to her and say I need something, and it would be there. She's that kind of person. So we'll miss her greatly. And it's her season, talking about times and seasons. We all have a season. We all have a time. We all are spiritual in our own ways. I've often said, and you've heard me say on the other teachings, and will continue to hear me say, we're not just human beings looking for spiritual experiences or religious experiences. We are spirit having an earthly encounter. And we manage this encounter by going to and through spirit. If you don't go within, you'll go without. Your inner essence, your inner peace is your inner place. Is your inner pace, that which lives, resides, and thrives inside you. Shamanism, and we're calling this, the name of the book is Astrotheology, looking to the stars, studying the stars, not necessarily worshiping them as the ancients did, but in a form respecting them. It's one thing to respect, another thing to worship. We're respecting the movements of the planets. The first people who, and that's why with this whole concept of moon day, or when the moon and the stars are at night. And it's different than the sun day or sunlight, when you see everything differently. At night, you have to stretch and strain to determine what's there. And nothing fascinates you more at night than light. When light is surrounded by bleak darkness, and you see these little hints of hope. The stars are sparkling and moving, and they're shimmering, and they're getting your attention. And, of course, the moon is there. You see it rise, and you see it go down. Actually, it's the earth circulating around the sun. The moon does not have its own light. It is reflecting light from the sun. Pay attention to what reflects light in your night and light in your life. There's always something there. The reason there's a shadow is because there's light somewhere. In the shadiest, most shadowy times of your life, that's an indication that there's light somewhere. And the sun is always shining somewhere, even in overcast days. When it's not shining in the Western Hemisphere, it's shining in the Eastern Hemisphere or on the other side of the planet. Shamanism or a shaman is a person regarded as having access to and influence in the world of good and evil. Now, these are rustic prehistoric thoughts about spiritual people that somehow access the ethereal. They seem to have connection. They were the couriers, or they were the mediators between humans and another consciousness. Pastors, priests, sometimes with some folks as wizards and witches and psychics or whatever, and we have all these frightening references to them. But I'm not afraid of anything. I have Wiccan witches, warlocks who are friends of mine, who are not afraid, who come to hear me preach, and who I respect and honor as legitimate clergy. And I used to prejudge them and make them demonic, but now I see them as people who love the earth, love environment, who are thinkers, who love nature, who recognize and reverence it in some very profound way. As an inclusionist, I literally include everybody as legitimate expressions of humanity. Even if I'm not in agreement with them or they seem offensive to me, everybody has their part in place. And we're all trying to refine ourselves and to become more elegant and eloquent human beings. That's what this whole thing is about. And the shaman were gifted messianic entities within a particular community, whether it was the medicine man in Native American or Indian culture, or whether it was the imam in a certain Islamic background, or those who were involved in Sufism, which is the Pentecostalism of Islam, or Kabbalah, which is sort of the super spiritual Pentecostalism of Judaism. We all have our sort of edgy, marginalized groups within our religious traditions that seem to access spirit differently than we do. But mine is Pentecostal, so I have this wonderful idea of people going and experiencing alternative consciousness, transcendent and transformational experiences, going somewhere, getting through divination and meditation, if you will, divination. They're divining, or the divas are those who are trying to be more like God or access their godness or their divinity being bridged to their humanity. These are all things that fascinate me and fascinate others who are thinking. It's the science of human beings being human. The science of humanity or human being is being. That's the science. It's spiritual. It's your essence. It's the ethereal and esoteric or almost euphoric aspect of yourself and soul. It's the knowledge, because your spirit knows everything. Sometimes the mind forgets what the spirit knows, so when the mind is going through the amnesia, it must reconnect with spirit. And when you reconnect with spirit in the cellular and solar realm, it reminds you of what you have forgotten, and then you're at peace. The only time I panic in life or feel intimidated is when I forget that I agreed to come here, to this plane or planet of consciousness. It's when I forget my soul continuum, when I forget my essence, when I forget my extrasensory perceptions and my ability to perceive beyond the senses. That's what extrasensory, senses, the five senses of sight and tasting and touching and hearing and tasting. There's another sense, and it's called our spirit, our pneuma, our pneumatic self, the part that knows and doesn't have to guess. It just knows. So it's a powerful spirituality, and I think that's what the ultimate spirituality is involved in. Shamanism involves the practitioner reaching altered states of consciousness in order to perceive and interact with whatever they believe to be spirit, and what they believe to be an energy or in the world, and to channel these transcendental realizations and energies into their world. We need source access to another world. It's powerful. People do that with drugs. They do that with herbs. And before this teaching is over, we'll get into the part of spirituality that is enhanced by drugs. I mean, the ancient world. We don't do it today. I've never done something like that, but there are people who do. There are scientists who do. There are inventors who do. There are people that write songs and create music when they're in sort of those in-between states. They don't live on the note. They live between the note. They don't live on the word. They live in the space between the lyrics, the space between the words. All of us can access that place. Some people do it more naturally than others, more normally than others. We all can do it by nature, but it's important to do it by nurture. So what we're doing in the ComeModay movement is we're nurturing our spirit. We're leaving some of the traditional dogma and doctrines of religion into this new model, this new paradigm of thinking and being and expressing and experiencing and exposing ourselves and souls and being exposed to things we wouldn't otherwise be exposed to. My daughter Majesty is here to sing the song Respect in honor of Aretha Franklin, who I mentioned earlier tonight. That's one of her most popular songs on the entire planet. Nobody can sing it like her, and it takes a lot of guts to endeavor to do that, but Majesty does it well. I only heard her sing it once at church, so she's going to sing it this evening. And as we show our respect to the queen of gospel and soul music on this planet, the one and only Aretha Franklin. Okay, let's go with it.
We love you, Aretha.
We adore you so much, honey. Respect. Let it go. That's all right. Let it go.
Here it comes. Hey, what you want, baby, I got it. Hey, what you need, you know I got it.
Hey.
And all I'm asking is for a little respect when you come through. Hey, baby, when you get home. Hey, yeah. Hey, just a little bit. Listen, now I'm about to give you all my money, and all I'm asking in return, honey, is to give me my propers when you come home. Hey, yeah. When you come home. Hey, yeah. No, I ain't gonna do you wrong while you go. Hey, I said I ain't gonna do you wrong when I'm not home. And all I need you to do for me is give it to me, baby. Oh, yeah. When you come home. Hey, yeah. Here it goes, dance break. Hey, dance break.
Yeah.
Oh, get it.
Yeah.
Get it, Rita. And shout out to
Come on,
everybody who
Rita.
wrote the song. Y'all are lit. We love you. Hey. Yo. Oh, hey. I see you, Dad. Here he is. He's jamming over here. Oh, your kisses sweeter than honey. But guess what? So is my money.
I know what he is.
And all I want you to do for me is give it to me, baby. Hey, yeah. When you come home. Hey, yeah. Now, R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Find out what it means to me. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Take care of T-C-B-O. A little respect. Oh, yeah. I keep waiting for you to come home and give me some respect. Hey, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now I get tired when you're playing these games with me, but you better come on, hey, and give it to me, baby. Yeah. Oh, yeah. R-E-S-P-C-T. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Wow. Oh, my God. Hey.
Wow.
We love you. Aretha.
Awesome. Aretha would love that. My goodness gracious. Thank you, sweetheart. That's for you. And we all have respect, and we'll pay our respect. They're doing it all over the country. All type of the singers. There's not hardly a singer, particularly in the African-American, but way outside it community that doesn't trace some of their inspiration to Aretha. She's just in a category all by herself. She and the Stevie Wonders, those guys that have been around here for 40 and 50 years. I was telling Stevie the other day, I remember he was little Stevie Wonder when I first heard of him. Went to a 70s party the other night, and I remember the bell-bottoms I wore when I participated in the 8th grade in a talent show, and I won, and I sang There's a Place in the Sun. I never dreamed I'd get a chance to tell Stevie that I sang that song, but I did, and I have. And he's a very spiritual person, very mystical, very metaphorical in the lyrics of his songs, and he's a great man. And I wish he and I had a chance to go see Aretha. I told him we should jump on a plane and just go up there and see her, because I knew she'd been challenged for the last year or two, but she's conquered and survived twice, I think, issues with cancer. Her personal issues, she doesn't emphasize it. She goes straight to God the only way that she knows how to. But now she's going to go there, I think, in every part of her being, which will be very, very powerful. Religion is the belief in and worship of usually some superhuman, supernatural, controlling power, some entity or presumed reality, especially a personal god or gods. Religion is as old as humanity. It's old as humans. The actual word means bondage, or in bondage to, or bonded with something, some idea or ideology, some idol, if you will, some issue, some doctrine, some dogma, some custom, some habit. What you make the issue, you make the idol. That's common. And we are by nature issue-oriented and idolatrous people, and I don't mean that in a negative sense. That's not a criticism, it's an observation. We're hungry for the larger self and the larger realities. We just seem to know, and or as I alluded to earlier, remember that there's something beyond this. Religion will probably, as I said the other, never go completely away. It'll never be taken away from us because we humans tend to keep it as our favorite toy or our favorite ploy. It's something we use. It's sort of a cunning plan of action that somehow is designed to turn a situation into our best favor. Religion sometimes is born out of fear and born out of ignorance or lack of knowing, or to ignore what's obvious. Ignorance. Gnosis is the Greek word for knowledge. We want more. We know deep down in our hearts that we are more. And so when you see things that you want to connect to, like in the stars or in the sky, or even mountains, some people find all the holiest places on the planet for some reason are always mountains, whether that's Mount Zion or Mount Sinai, Mount Ebal. There's always mountains, and people want to climb. They risk their lives, and many do die trying to get to those highest spaces and places on the planet. We do that by the Spirit. That's the whole idea of the Tower of Babel or Babylon, when they were trying to reach the highest place or space they could, hoping perhaps to get to God. They've always seen God as up there. And animists see God as everywhere. Pantheists, polytheists see God in everything and everywhere. And there's some aspect of energy or life or light or God in everything and all things. And that's perfectly okay with me. Religion may be further defined as a cultural system, or cultivated system. Culture, cult, cultivation. Cults are nurtured. There's a Jesus Christ culture, and there's a Jesus Christ cult. There's an American culture, and there's an American cult. As a high-profile person who's been leading folks, there's a Carlton Pearson culture, a Carlton Pearson cult. Every priest, pastor, leader, politician, there's always cult followings and cultured followings. We as human beings are cult-oriented. But we are cultures and cultivations of designated behaviors and designated practices and worldviews and sacred texts and sanctified places and spaces and prophecies and ethics or organizations that somehow relate humanity to the supernatural or to some transcendentalism beyond the physical. Some spirit that connects us to some spiritual element, or the element of our spirit, the part of our elementary self that is spiritual. We are homesick only for us. I have a chapter in one of my books titled "What You Want Wants You," because what you want is you. You want the fullest, most cultivated expression and experience of yourself. When you say you love somebody, you're saying you love the part of yourself that you experience when you're with that person. Same token, if you said, I don't like so-and-so, I can't stand so, you're saying I don't like how I feel about me, how I experience myself. I can't stand the way I experience myself when you're with that person. So the only person you'll ever love, like, or not like is you, because what you want is you. That's the expanded way of thinking, and you're not a victim of anybody. So even though there's no scholarly consensus over what religion precisely is constituted by, most people believe in religion or theology or God logic, and there's a lot of things that in religion itself or theology can be placed under the banner of superstitions. We're basically superstitious people. And I'm defining that as a widely held view, sort of credulous view that you quickly believe in or aggressively or eagerly accept as true. And it's not necessarily justified. We can't actually prove God exists, but we cannot prove God doesn't exist. You can't prove the infinite, but you can't disprove it either. Tomorrow is, I heard Oral Roberts say one time, tomorrow is an elusive thing. We're always thinking about tomorrow. I heard him say in chapel probably 40 years ago, it's an elusive thing. He said, but I believe in it because I was here yesterday. I believe in tomorrow because I was here yesterday. And the only reason I know I was here yesterday because I'm here today. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is mystery. All we have is today. The gift of now. That's why they call it the present. We have this present, we have this moment right now, and we're holding on to it. And out of all that, we have this desire for more, for other moments and other momentums. Somebody asked me the other day, how you doing? I'm saying, well, how are things going? Well, they're always going too fast and too slow at the same time. There's always part of my life that's just zooming along. There's another part that's just poking like a turtle, poking along. And I'm trying to speed it up and slow the other one down and somehow bring them together. I have my past, my future, and my present, and they collide. I'm always thinking about tomorrow and remembering yesterday and managing today. I project into the future. I reach back and encourage myself because of the past. What I've already gone through, that gives me encouragement to keep on keeping on, as Mother Sherman told me years ago, and as I use in that song that's so popular. Superstition is also commonly referred to as folklore, mythology, fairy tale, and the list goes on. In this Come Monday ideology, Come Sunday is the movie. If you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix. It's called Come Sunday. It talks about the beginning of my expanded shift in consciousness. I didn't stop there. I'm not where that movie ends. I'm far beyond it. And I want to take you there, too. I think we're all on our way to enlightenment. We want to meet each other there in consciousness, in knowing, not just believing. I'm actually graduating and being promoted from belief systems into science, or knowing, conscience, expanded science, or expanded consciousness to the next level. I'm going to run over to a little spot we have on about Come Monday and how you can get more involved in the movement and become registered with part of us and be a part of the great plan that we have to continue to enhance your life and the lives of those who are awakening, to be there for you as the light shines. And so you're not startled by its brightness. You can manage this, and we're going to help you. Well, watch this little spot, and then we'll come back and finish this very interesting teaching tonight. Hello, everybody. I'm Carlton Pearson, and I am so excited about the beginning of ComeMonday.org. Come Sunday was the movie. Come Monday is the movement into broader enlightenment and life. And as a member of Come Monday, you'll receive one video each Monday for the entire year. That's 52 videos in total that you'll receive every Monday morning to get your week started out on a positive and powerful note. I will also be sending you one each day, Monday through Friday, that will support the thought of the week. That's 260 emails throughout the entire year to inspire the genius inside of you. We will also provide a private Facebook group so that we can all come together in a safe environment and discuss personal, pertinent, powerful issues. You will also receive a digital monthly newsletter full of interesting updates and current events and exciting pictures. And I also want to offer you special VIP access to all of my events when I'm in a city near you, because I love to meet my people. And finally, we'll offer special pricing to cruises, concerts, live events, all for standing with us and becoming a Come Monday member. So sign up now at the special introductory rate of just $3 a month. That's just $36 for everything for an entire year. I think I'm going to sign up for that myself. You're on your way to greater enlightenment. I want to meet you there in consciousness. So go to your phones and computers now. Sign up and meet me come Monday. Meet me there. You're meeting me there tonight. So if you're watching this from Facebook, there are thousands and thousands of people who will see this. Many of you are watching right now. And you're interested. You're curious. By the way, if you don't like some of the conversation going, if you just push your phone to the right, all the comments will go away. And you can just listen to what I'm saying, because I think you're curious. And stay curious. Stay ambitious. Stay adventurous. When I say ambitious, I mean ambitious. Have an aim. Have a focus. Have something that you're pulling and pushing toward that gives you an incentive to get up in the morning. Not just to wake up, but to get up and continue to look up and speak up. And stay tuned to what's happening in the world around you, because you are important to what happens. You have a voice and you have a place to be and a gift to offer the world. I'm fascinated with mythology only because mythology has so invaded our cultural socialism. It has, and religion is a huge impact on the planet. And a myth is a widely held, but usually false or unfounded or unproven belief or idea, a tradition, something that's been traded down. It's a story, especially one that concerns the supernatural or gods or, the early history of our culture or our people, things that have been inculcated and culturized in us, cultivated in us. It may be inaccurate, it may be even false or aspects of deception, but you're still thinking that way. There's certain things I was taught that my parents were taught, and their parents were taught, and their parents were taught, and it was never. It's myth, but it has worked for us because we made it work. It worked for us because we believed it worked for us, and it could work for us. And now that we're entering this age of enlightenment, from Pisces to Aquarius, Pisces is basically fish with two tails tied together, swimming in opposite directions. It's a lot of conflict. Not all the symbols of Pisces have that, but many of them are. We're going, but Aquarius is a male holding a water picture that suggests that he's going to pour that water out on the rest of the universe or down on other ways of thinking behind us and before us. Generally, men in the ancient world would not be seen carrying a water picture. That's associated with female activity. In the Bible, it's always the woman at the well. But a male meets her there. And even Jesus asked the woman at the well for something to drink. And that's when she said, well, I can't even believe you're talking to me. You're asking me for water, and you are a male, and you Jews worship in Jerusalem. We worship on this mountain. That's when he said true worshipers will worship God in spirit. He precedes it by saying God is spirit. Pneuma is the Greek word. Pneumon, lungs, breath. The word means breath. God is breath or breathing. Those who worship God must breathe. Anybody who breathes is worshiping God. Worship, in the English word, is worthship. All who have value in their divine essence, that have worth in their essence, are using that same essence, that essential nature and character, to embrace their God self. So worshiping God is realizing the divinity of yourself. It's not rituals and rites and candles and pulpits and stained glass windows. That enhances some people's ideology about worship. But real worship is identifying and revering yourself, your soul, who you are, reverencing and referencing who you are, that you exist, that you are being. It's called ontology, the study of being, the ontological approach to things, the study of essence or existence. Why am I here? How did I get here? Not just in my physical being, but in my spiritual being, the part of me that remembers. The most conspicuous aspect of spirit and asset of spirit is that it has a memory. No matter while you're looking at me, if you're watching your phone or your computer right now, you actually can see me. But if you close your eyes, you still do see me. With your eyes closed, you can still see me because you have a memory. You can remember the shirt I'm wearing. You can remember what the set looks like. You can remember maybe this little chain or something, the back of my computer, if you can see it. Because your cells and your soul and your visual or your ability to perceive has memory. And if you focus on that long enough, you'll remember your soul. You'll remember yourself. You'll remember your pre-incarnate existence, a reality that existed besides and beyond your incarceration, if you will, or incarnation in these fleshly bodies. Transcendence or transcendentalism is moving beyond the physics or the physical or even the physiology of your fleshly essence or your carnivorous, your meat, your flesh. There's another realm. Bridging humanity to theology or divinity is part of what I'm emphasizing in this teaching. So it's my personal estimation and discernment that religion, as we've known it, as we've expressed and experienced it over the last 2,000 years, will somehow, in the next few years, probably 50 to 100 years, if not sooner, dissipate and ultimately disappear. And it will be replaced by some newer form or formation or reformation of mysticism that bridges humanity to science in a consciousness that becomes fresh in its approach and its appreciation of divinity. You are inextricably connected to you and to me. We are all versions of each other. Universe means one verse, version, or versification of the whole. I'm a universal thinker. I believe in universal truths. I believe in universal power. I believe in universal connection, universal identity and identifications. That I'm talking to a version of me, and you're looking and listening to a version of you, or a verse in the lineage, or in the sentence or syntax of your soul. The sentence is the collection of the words that make up a communicative statement. The syntax is what you mean and how you interpret that sentence. Remember, we spell words, but words also spell us, and sometimes cast spells on us. A spell is like an enchantment, and an enchantment is a chant, a repetition, a rhythm, an incantation or invocation or invitation. It's a beat, it's a rhythm, it's a vibration. Words are things, so are thoughts and perceptions. And so I'm trying to get you in touch with your spirit as I become more exactly and accurately, if you will, precisely in touch with my spiritual essence, with my pneuma. God is spirit. God is breath. So you worship God by breathing. You inhale and exhale. You worship God from your lungs and your soul and yourself. Just being. You know, you can sit by a tree, sit by the ocean or a lake. I happen to love water and fountains. I like to hear the sound of the rustle of water. I like to stand in the shower. I love swimming. I love skiing, jet skis or water skis. I love water sports. I've never surfed, but I grew up around surfers. And I love the waves. I love the tide, high and low. I love the ocean aquariums and studying fish. I love eating fish every once in a while and all. So, but I feel one with the sea and one with the ocean. Anyway, and I have a deeper appreciation of my divinity. Mysticism is the practice of religious ecstasies. Now, this again, I'm informed in this pursuit because of my Pentecostal background, which was the practice of religious ecstasies. I mean, ecstasy, ek meaning out of status, out of stand. I have out-of-body experiences and out-of-body expressions. I actually have had many ecstatic moments in my life without ever taking a drug. I've been in ecstasy. On my knees, I've been in ecstasy, singing, thinking. I've had these wonderful, transcendent and translucent experiences where everything was exposed and nothing hidden. And it became sacred. I think everybody's hungry for that. Everybody's thirsty for that. Everybody reminisces about that in your spirit. I told you sound is the Greek word eikos. English word is echo. And an echo is a sound out of the past that catches up with you because though light travels 186,000 miles per second, sound only travels about 1,200 feet per second. So it takes a lot longer for the sound to reach you than it does light. A light year is the distance that light can travel in 1 year at that speed, 186,000 miles, several trillion miles that it can go. Mysticism is getting into all of that. Mysticism is a science. It is religious ecstasies, religious experiences during alternate states of consciousness, together with whatever ideologies or ethics or rites or legends or myths and magic may be related to them. But we do that to go someplace. Now, when people are interested in drugs, whether that's something as mild as weed or something as extensive as whatever else they use, like heroin and LSD. I don't know anything about that, but people want to go somewhere. It's a form of escapism from the pain. It's the way they manage their pain. There are unhealthy ways, as you know, to do that, and you become addicted to it. Addiction has to do with speech, dictating, diction. Addiction means that you are hearing a voice that tells you you have to have a certain thing, whether that's a cigarette, a cup of coffee, a piece of chocolate cake, or some other drug that you have to go gamble your money. I'm not saying that any of those things are bad. They may not be the best for you if you are addicted to it. You're hearing voices that make you get up in the middle of the night and go in there, and I've heard those voices, and made the biggest peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or go back and get that last piece of cake or pie, or just, I want a chitlin, I want an egg bone, I want something that's not maybe that healthy for me. So voices, and the Greek word for voice is phone. English is phonics. Phone, with like an apostrophe or some kind of a hyphen. The phonics of soul, the phonics of self. When you hear the voice of the divine or of God, you don't always necessarily hear words like you're hearing mine, but you feel the phonetics and the phonics of your soul and of yourself. You hear the lettering and the literals, and this spell, this enchantment that I told you we're under when the words spell us or cast spells on us, and you feel the chant and the repetition of the sound or the echo of the beat, of the rhythm, of the region, of the reach. It's just there. You're constantly vibrating through 100,000 miles of arteries in your body. A full-grown body has about 100,000 arteries, most of which are microscopic. You can't see them in the natural. But little teeny capillaries and blood vessels all through your body. And the circulation is important to keep the things alive. Mysticism is also a form of theology, God logic, God talk, God language. In a sense, theology is a form of faith in and of agnosticism, not knowing for sure. You know, an agnostic person is somebody who believes that nothing is known or can be absolutely known of the existence of God. Well, that's not all it means. It means that I'm not sure. I'm not absolutely secure. I cannot prove scientifically, but I know in my spirit. But I can't know in a logical sense that I can explain it to you. And in many ways, I'm agnostic in that I don't know what I believe, or I don't believe what I know. I know a lot about my soul and myself, but at this time I don't believe what I know, but I know what I believe. And then I don't know what I believe anymore because I know I don't believe, and then I know that I know that I know that I know. And then I don't know what I know, and then I think I know what I know, and all that adds up to God. Here's what you know. You know what you've experienced, not what you've been taught or told. You know what you've experienced or what you remember. When I say I know God, I'm saying I know how I've experienced what I would consider God. And it's not the one that most religions embrace. The God I know. Now, I have believed in the other one all my life and preached the other one, studied the other one that said that he regrets he made me. That's always been a hurt. It's always hurt my feeling. And I know about that God. I know about that God, but I don't know that God. The God I know does not regret that it is me or has created me or is the creativity in me. That is what my soul experiences, and that's what my soul expresses. People who enjoy being around me because of that. Because of that self-expressive exposure and experience of divinity. Not always in the language that I use, but it reminds people of their when you are functioning at your maximum divinity, you remind other people of theirs. And they start somehow speaking the language of the soul, of self, that you do because we are communicating spiritually. It's called community or common union. Common unity or common union. Communion. A oneness with and a fellowship. That's fellows in the same ship. Not always in the same shape, but we're all trudging across the oceans and paradigms of life. And it's a beautiful, beautiful reality. An agnostic person is somebody who believes nothing is known or can be absolutely known of the existence, I said, or the nature of God or of anything beyond material phenomenon or phenomena. Now, many of us have transcended that. We do believe because we've experienced something. That is a physical or a phenomenon. Like if I go out in what we call being slain in the spirit, or I just get numb and actually laid on the floor, my tongues move and I start communicating in a language. I saw something on the internet that LaDonna sent me the other day of a woman, a young woman, who called speaking in tongues of the light language. She knew nothing about Pentecostalism. She was talking about a light language that she believes is the language of the universe, and that all things have that language or those syncopations in it. And then she started speaking in that language, and it sounded just like many Pentecostal people I've known. In fact, LaDonna was watching it, and she started crying because it sounded identical to the way her language, the way she's experienced her language. She'd been speaking in tongues since she was a little girl in a Pentecostal church. Then this girl gets on the internet, calls it light language. She doesn't know anything about Pentecost. She's not even a religious person, but she's spiritual. And that was profound. There are Muslims, Islamic Sufis, who speak in tongues. There are people who are classical Jews, Hebrew religion, but Kabbalah. Some of the Hasidic Jews and some of those that are more deeply imbued in that particular consciousness, the mystical aspect, do speak in tongues. They do lay hands on the sick. They do pray, and they go out in the spirit, or they have these trance-like experiences. Christians aren't the only ones who do, and Pentecostals aren't the only ones who do. That's why I'm so fascinated. I thought we were the only ones when I was a kid. Then I'm a full-grown, well-done man, human. I think this thing is not limited. It is really radically inclusive. It includes a lot of people. Going to go to another Come Monday report, a little promo, because we want you to become a part of the movement and a part of the momentum spiritually, so we can offer these things in greater depth. And this will include cruises and webinars and seminars, and we'll go to certain places, spaces on the planet where we'll collectively come together, and we'll sometimes include concerts and just do some fun things. Maybe we'll meet in Vegas. Maybe we'll meet in the South Florida. Maybe we'll meet in Alaska or Hawaii or Israel or Mecca. We can have a lot of fun. We're going to. We'll even go to China. How about that? See this spot. We'll come back and close the program. We have just a couple more minutes. Hello, everybody. I'm Carlton Pearson, and I am so excited about the beginning of ComeMonday.org. Come Sunday was the movie. Come Monday is the movement into broader enlightenment and life. And as a member of Come Monday, you'll receive one video each Monday for the entire year. That's 52 videos in total that you'll receive every Monday morning to get your week started out on a positive and powerful note. I will also be sending you one each day, Monday through Friday, that will support the thought of the week. That's 260 emails throughout the entire year to inspire the genius inside of you. We will also provide a private Facebook group so that we can all come together in a safe environment and discuss personal, pertinent, powerful issues. You will also receive a digital monthly newsletter full of interesting updates and current events and exciting pictures. And I also want to offer you special VIP access to all of my events when I'm in a city near you, because I love to meet my peoples. And finally, we'll offer special pricing to cruises, concerts, live events, all for standing with us and becoming a Come Monday member. So sign up now at the special introductory rate of just $3 a month. That's just $36 for everything for an entire year. I think I'm going to sign up for that myself. You're on your way to greater enlightenment. I want to meet you there in consciousness. So go to your phones and computers now. Sign up and meet me come Monday. People we love are moving out of our lives. I call them the pillars and pillows of our lives, like an Aretha Franklin, who is not gone yet, but from my very reliable sources, she could be gone even before the night has expired. She's worked hard. She's had a wonderful life. I've studied her. I've had wonderful times of communication with her. I've felt her. My mother's 88. And she lives in my house. We moved her in there when my dad made his transition about 3 years ago. She was living in a big house by herself. The sweetest nuisance I've ever had. But so are my kids, and so is my soul. I'm a nuisance to myself because I'm thinking all the time. But I have sweet nuisances, sweet loves. Love costs you something. Love is a sensual thing. You sense it. It's almost a pain. It's like a disease that needs treatment. The scripture says love is patient. I say love is a patient in need of health care. and I'm nurturing my love. So I'm thinking about, as we close tonight, the beloved Aretha Franklin and what she has meant to the world for the 50-some years that she has sang her one style, sit at the piano, and she used to and has no problem with going to a piano live and just singing and playing. That's how she started out as a little girl. She never forgot her roots. And her dad was one of the greatest preachers of his generation, C.L. Franklin. I was proud to stand in that pulpit at that great church in Detroit. To become a mystic, and she was mystical. People like, the first time I heard Songs in the Key of Life by Stevie Wonder, who's a dear friend of mine. The first time I heard that album was in 1974, I think. I just bought a brand new car, Ford Gear 351, top of the line, and I had an 8-track in it, and I used to play that 8-track, roll up the windows, and I thought, this guy, just the lyrics of Songs in the Key of Life. That's the name of the CD. If you've not heard it, you can still find it. That's where he wrote the song, Isn't She Lovely, when his baby was born. I said to him the first time I met him, I said, you are metaphysical in your lyrics. Where are you thinking? Where are you going with this? He's the one who introduced me by phone to Michael Beckwith of the Agape Spiritual Center in Los Angeles. And Steve and I were talking the other day about Aretha and about black music and black sound and about the soul and how many of the singers like Justin Timberlake and, is it Justin Timberlake? Yeah, and Bieber and some of these people, when we were kids, we didn't ever see white people do the roles of vocal acrobatics and really hit it. And it's like that style of dancing and singing, and it's all come together. It's really unifying the races, whether they're Asian, African, Indian. There's a beautiful international lingo and language and connected that's taking place through music, through the science of the musings. I was listening to a rap song the other day by Drake, driving my son to the airport, and he was explaining very intellectually and spiritually what he was saying in the song. I wouldn't have gotten any of it. I didn't even understand what he was saying, and Julie was just basically narrating the song all the way out to the airport. It gave me a different appreciation of music, today's sound, and today's singers. What they're saying, what they're seeing, that sometimes the church ignores. I'm so glad I'm not tied down or confined to or defined by the church or the religion, but I'm free to go to the church and worship as I want to, and to enjoy the presence, both the P-R-E-S-E-N-C and the P-R-E-S-E-N-T-S, the presence of soul and self and of God in an experience. It's wonderful. We're going to continue with this theme, astrotheology, and I'll actually get into the Mazaroth, which is the Hebrew word for zodiac. It's in the scripture, and how many of the ancients studied the stars and the seasons and the sessions of time, and there's nothing irreverent about that. I appreciate the heavens. In the beginning, God's created the heavens and on earth. The heavens. There's a lot out there. We're going to learn more about it and participate in our portion of it. Again, next week, same time, same station. We'll see you. Go to or stay on ComeModay.org and become a part of this great movement and express yourself. Can we go out with just you starting that song, Madge? And we can finish. You don't have to finish it, but that beautiful melodic line right at the top of it. It's from the movie. What is the movie? The Star.
The Greatest Showman.
The Greatest Showman. Just gonna hear the beginning lyrics of this song. It's so beautiful, and we'll kind of fade out. She won't finish it, but I want you to go out with that one, those lyrics, and then go see the movie. It's about how this man inclusively pulled around himself people of every kind of walk of life. Some people were physically challenged, and they looked different, and they acted different, but they helped him achieve a dream. I gotta go see it myself, and I will. All right, roll it. Just a little of it.
This is me.
a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. Learn to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say, no one will love you as you are. But I won't let them rake me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for your glory. When the sharpest words want to cut me down, I'm gonna send the flood, gonna drown them out. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come, and I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Another round of bullets hits my skin. Well, fire away, 'cause today I won't let the shame sink in. We are bursting through the barricades and reaching for the stars. We are warriors, that's what we've become. I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the strongest words want to cut me down, I'm gonna send the flood, gonna drown them out. I'm not scared, oh, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me, oh. And I'm marching on, I'm not scared to be seen. I make no apologies. This is me. ComeModay. Hey. Love you guys.
Love ya, love ya. Good night. Thank you.
See, it's starting to strain a little bit, so we could just let it go.
It looked a lot better.